Talking with famous people.
Maybe it should have been better being legal.
Oh.
Maybe it should have been, but then we gotta experience stuff we haven't experienced before. Then there's gonna be like crime, and I totally get what you're saying now. You're like, okay, well, since you want it to still be illegal, you want people to be go to prison because of this. I get that, but I don't see how we can possibly like do harm reduction.
First of all, let it be an actual problem, right? Not just a hypothetical problem. I am living in a society where I do not walk around seeing people causing problems because, oh my God, everyone's on acid. I just don't see that to be the case. Now, even if it were the case that it were legal and there was a rash of acid takings, there would be a few accidents that would make the news, and then people would have to grow up about it a little bit. And then after that, there wouldn't be any more mention of it. People assume that because bad shit can happen, it's going to. I've got this. It's called a MAP gas torch. I've also got a gas station over there, and I've got cans that can fill with gas. I could burn the fucking city to the ground in a moment. Should we make fire illegal too?
Eric, you know what? You're a great entertainer. You really are.
It's not entertainment. It's truth. I'm shouting the truth at you.
No, you don't. You still don't get my point.
I get your point. You're scared, and therefore let's have some more state government fucking bullshit.
I'm not scared. I'm considerate.
You're not considerate. Tell that to the person in the fucking cage. You're not considerate to him and his family. You're the reason why he's in the cage. People like you advocating for bullshit.
You're generalizing. You see stuff in black and white and just generalize it.
What are you talking about?
We're talking about legalization of LSD.
People should not be in prison for LSD, and he wants it to still be illegal, but not have that be the outcome somehow.
No. No, that's not what I'm saying. You're misinterpreting my question. What I'm saying is, how do you harm reduct? How do you reduce the amount of harm LSD can do to people who are stupid enough to take it in like different kind of environments?
Step one, stop saying we don't need to harm reduce for other people's decisions. Step two, we acknowledge that the harm should actually happen before we reduce it. Step three, we should acknowledge that the harms implicit in using that argument to justify state violence against individuals who violated no one's rights is vastly outweighing any other possible harms from the thing being prohibited.
But if you're about to harm someone else due to the drug itself, I've had a friend who's been.
Stop that sentence there. If you're about to harm someone else, period. That's it. Don't draw your causal relationships. It's not because of the drug. If you're about to harm someone else, you're about to commit a crime.
I've had a friend who basically went on LSD. He took too much LSD, and he basically thought that everyone around him was a fucking alien. He was hostile towards everyone around him.
And this happened while LSD was legal?
What is legal? This has nothing to do with legalizing.
Harms of legalization, right?
The thing is, I relate harm reduction to legalization, because if the harm reduction is good enough, then it can be legalized.
Jacob, did making it illegal reduce the harm?
No, but it made people more aware of the side effects of it.
Did it make him aware enough not to incur the harm? Did it make him aware enough not to incur the harm?
What Eric is trying to say, see if I explain it through my way, maybe it'll come. You'll see it different. Take alcohol, for example. People do really stupid things when they drink too much alcohol. It's still legal. It's mandating something like that. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, it's harmful. We shouldn't let people just willy-nilly use it. I understand. But at the same time, it's like people are adults and they need to act like adults. It's not like right to take away their choice to make a dumb decision.
Like, you're still... Yes and no. But, like, if LSD was legal, would you have it in the same way as people sell alcohol and marijuana?
I mean, yeah.
And by the way, Purple, this has nothing to do with logic. This is just different perspectives of the matter.
I mean, yeah.
No, you're wrong about that, Jacob. What I'm saying is that we need to understand that when you are advocating a position, you are advocating certain outcomes. We should evaluate those outcomes concretely and say they are bad outcomes and deny your position accordingly. The problem here is you fail to understand the individual is the key agent here. There are no groups that contain moral agency. Individuals act out moral acts only, okay? You cannot have a group that has moral agency. Now,
But
hear
maybe
me out, Jacob. What you keep saying is you're talking about the possible harms of something that some people will incur. For sure, some people will incur those harms. And you are assuming solvency. You're saying we can solve this problem as a group. But all the evidence that you have, every single speck of it, proves that we cannot solve this problem, that illegality does not prevent LSD from getting into the marketplace, and it doesn't prevent the harms that your friend incurred. Now, we also can acknowledge that when we as a group use illegality or coercive methodologies against things that are fundamentally rights, which is to say I have the right, I own my own body, I can do with it as I please. Now, when we violate that right to bodily integrity, what actually happens are real harms, real physical world harms, people getting subject to violence. In contrast to what you are engaged in, which is metaphysical mush making of, well, we might incur this harm, we might incur that harm, and we need to do this and we need to do that. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, I totally get what Eric is saying. I like it because it's like relating to like the individual aspect of it. But I would not put LSD under the same like border as I do weed and alcohol, because it's a totally different substance and it has totally different implications. And what I mean to say is that LSD is not for everyone. Like you can't just. I think like Eric has this sort of individual sense. He wants people to like stand up for themselves, be responsible for themselves, and I acknowledge that. But like in a sort of a society where a drug can be so like ego or conscious altering, we witnessed how the alcohol prohibition went during the 30s in America. People fucking drank more alcohol than they ever done before, and it didn't work. The same with fucking weed, you know. But I don't know. I don't know how to solve the LSD issue. I don't think it should be the same. The only thing I'm saying is I don't think it should be the same kind of terms that weed and alcohol has. That's what I'm saying. I think there should be some sort of maybe, I don't know, psychology like tests or something. Something you have to like prove yourself to be mature enough, because LSD cannot be like grouped together with alcohol and weed.
Look at the chat. Do you see the chat at the bottom with the prescription part? I think that's a good point. Would that be like a good middle ground for you? Like have it as something kind of like Adderall or Oxycontin or something like that you need to take steps to go through in order to obtain?
That would be better than having it as an open market, I would say. Because having it as an open market, then basically anyone can try it. It could be like, as I said, like Eric has sort of an individualistic sort of this, but I sort of, my NE just goes off and I imagine the worst possible scenario. I've met people that can't handle substances. I've seen a lot of shit in my life. And I know that people would try going like on LSD, like too much LSD on the club, for example.
I think I think you just have a more developed, was that FE, like being concerned for like the harmony and the welfare of the group, right? That's FE?
He doesn't care about people. He's a violent thug. And he wants to possess all this shit he's piling up is a bunch of fluff around the fact that he's a violent thug. Because no matter what he says,
I mean, I'm not going to go that far.
I am going to go that far and explain why. Because everything you're saying is justification for some other person forcing another third party. Okay, you're not saying I need to be forced at gunpoint to do this shit. You're saying everyone else does. You're not worried about what
I don't think
you're
he thinks about
do.
it that way.
Jacob, you're not saying I'm concerned that I'm going to, if LSD is legal, I'm going to take too much of it in public and I'm going to cause problems. Well, if LSD is legal and you're going to take too much of it in public and cause problems, then you're engaged in a criminal conspiracy right now to cause problems. It has nothing to do with the LSD. Right? The LSD is not a relevant factor in you engaging in criminal behavior. That's one of the fucking mistakes you made here, which is to say that somehow because people are going to do bad things because they are on drugs or need drugs or something. Nobody's disputing that addiction is a serious issue. Nobody's disputing that drugs can be taken. You can take too many drugs and do all kinds of shit. But the absolute most dangerous drug of all, the single most dangerous drug by far, is alcohol, and it's already legal.
Bullshit. The second most dangerous drug is tobacco, which kills a lot more people than alcohol does.
Okay, that
doesn't kill as many lives.
That's a different. That's called an equivocation fallacy. What we're talking about is the actual danger in terms of the immediate present causing behavioral problems, and you conflate it with overall health concerns.
In my world, Like the drug that kills most people is the most harmful substance, and I consider tobacco to be the most harmful substance because it kills 5 times more people than alcohol does.
Well, to jump back to a previous point that Eric made, and maybe it's something you haven't thought about before, is that whenever anybody advocates for anything being legal or illegal, the very end result of that is somebody with a gun from the state forcing you with the threat of violence. That's what every authority on this planet comes back to, is violence, naked force, period. So when you say it's a serious deal to say this should be illegal or this should be illegal, because at the end of the day, if somebody continues to violate that, people with guns from the government are going to come take you and do what Eric said and put you in a fucking cage.
Can I tell you something? In my opinion, every substance should be legalized. I'm such a libertarian that I think every substance should be legalized, but everything is about information. And I think what I interpret Eric to say is that like LSD should be put under the same border as weed. And I don't think LSD should be as easily to get as like he just told me about how easy it is to get weed in his state. Like, oh, you go up, you say you have insomnia or ADD and stuff. If someone were to do the same thing and just get LSD, I do not approve of that, because I think LSD is something totally different. It has to be something. It has to be. You gotta speak with someone. Someone's gotta be able to make sure that you can handle that shit.
Nobody made sure I was ready to handle phosphoric acid. The reason why we have problems with acid is not because of too few regulations. It's because of too much regulation. If acid were allowed to go through its naturally occurring existence in the ecosystem of ideas and products and phenomena, then people would abuse it, and then people would realize, oh, this is serious, and there'll be adjustments made and shit like that. It doesn't need to be on a group coercion level. You just have to accept the fact that other people, like yourself, just like me, I have access to burn down the fucking city with gas cans and this torch, but I never do it because I have no interest in doing it and don't want to because I'm a good person, like most everybody else. But because people don't have fundamentally an optimistic understanding of human nature and don't have fundamentally a sense that, oh, I need to worry about what I need to do, not what someone else might do, not what someone else could do, not what someone else ought to do, but what I ought to do. And worry about that. Do I need the government pointing a gun at me? And why are you distancing yourself from the actual enforcement of it? You go out there and point the gun. You go out there and point the gun at people and say, these people go to jail. Now, I hear what you say. You say things should all be legalized, but there should be all these regulations and shit. You have to talk.
You still don't get it. You still don't get it.
Jacob, I'm answering your point.
You're generalizing it.
Did you say that you should have to talk to somebody to get acid?
No, now you get down to specifics. Yes, I said that. And before you start going counter-argumenting with me, it's sort of like, what you sort of saying is like, everybody should like take acid and like, oh, I could burn down the entire village if I wanted to. Yeah, you could, but you're sober enough to realize you shouldn't. But when you're fucking on LSD and you're like, oh, well, everything's light, the fucking world's light, I can jump from my fucking balcony, you know. Then you don't fucking get how much LSD affects your brain, dude. You don't fucking get it.
I do. I've done acid multiple times.
Yeah? Have you had a bad trip, man?
Yeah, I've had a horrible bad trip.
All right, so have I.
Okay, I understand it's a serious drug. Nobody's disputing that. And I'm trying to work through the logic of this here. You're saying somebody should have to talk to somebody. I agree. The thing is, it should happen naturally. It shouldn't happen because we, quote unquote, point guns at people. If it does, then Jacob, I want you to be the one to do it, okay? I want you to get the gun and you to force handcuffs on the person and you to put them in the squad car and you to take them to jail and you to put them in prison. I want you to stand guard over them and watch them suffer.
You still don't get it, do you? You still don't fucking get it. I thought you were smarter than this, Eric. What I'm saying is you shouldn't be taken to jail for doing this. What I'm saying is, how can we make sure that people who are...
That's the point, Jacob, is that Eric's saying that we can't and we shouldn't let people, that natural selection or whatever you want to call it, take over. Of course not.
We can't fucking take people to prison for doing it.
No. I'm saying on people. You can't force your fucking rules on people without doing that. You get that?
But how can we fucking solve it then? Because what you're saying is same regulation as fucking weed, man. That's what you're saying.
Stop thinking weed, dude. That's the problem. You need to stop thinking in terms of weed. You don't get to worry about what other people fucking do.
we shouldn't be concerned. Like you're talking about, people can't handle it. People can't. They're going to OD. They're going to do this. Eric is saying that that's not. You shouldn't be worried about that. I shouldn't be worried about that. If somebody is honestly stupid enough to not research it, not have people babysit him during his trip, have no idea how he's going to handle acid, and he decides to take like 2 or 3 fucking hits, and he jumps off his balcony, then he should have known
worse
better.
shit than that can happen. Much worse shit than that can happen. And what I think is that Eric is too obsessed by his own ego to even realize. He's like, oh, well, I'm my sole person. This is my job. This is what I do. You can't even relate to what other people's feeling or like go into concerns of other people.
I'm the one who's concerned. You think you're concerned because you don't understand. You're saying let's point guns.
Point guns. What do you mean by point guns?
You keep saying that we need to have these rules that we enforce.
Bullshit. Bullshit. Lie. Bullshit. That was not what I'm saying. What I think is that you should probably have it in some sort of way, in the same way as we have weed, but more restricted, much more restricted.
What if I ignore your restriction? What happens to me?
Well, then probably you have read a lot about it anyway. So you know what you're in for.
No, but if I, let's say you say we should restrict it, right? That means that it shouldn't be allowed for you to get acid unless you talk to somebody first. What if I ignore your restriction and give acid to somebody without them talking to somebody first? What happens?
And again, what you're getting at is like, okay, well, I want to get acid. I talk to someone, I get acid, but I want to get acid and I don't talk to someone, and suddenly I'm in jail. Is that your point?
No, I'm asking you. You're saying we should regulate. We should have these restrictions. We should.
I'm
right?
asking you how. I'm asking you how do we do harm reduction of such a powerful substance?
I'm saying we don't.
I don't know the answer, Eric. I don't know. I know that like having it regulated or like illegal doesn't work. But I don't think like having it like completely illegal in the same way as weed or alcohol works either. There's like LSD needs some sort of middle ground, and I don't have the answer. I know there's somewhere there, but I don't think that like.
I'm telling you the answer.
What's the answer?
We don't regulate it.
Okay. A guy just walks into a bar, basically hides the fucking kite on LSD, and he punches the fucking teeth out of someone because he thinks he's a demon.
Well, all we need to hear is the part where he punches the teeth out of somebody. He's committed a crime, should go to jail for that. Everything else is irrelevant.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm getting at, Purple. Having a psychiatrist, sort of, like something. You have no fucking idea, Purple. You have no fucking idea what I've been through. Just shut the fuck up. You can watch like earlier Raw videos when I fucking talked about this. I've taken LSD more times than you fucking fucked somebody. Shut the fuck up and stick to the fucking topic, bitch.
He was saying there, Jacob, just to be clear, I think he was saying, if you punch somebody in the teeth, the hypothetical, if you punch somebody in the teeth, then you're probably not on LSD. I would agree that in general, LSD does not correlate with violence. But it doesn't matter. That's not the point. That's not the point, right? The violence is the problem, not the LSD. There's a crime that's been committed. The other shit's irrelevant. It doesn't matter if I was on LSD or if I was on feeling mad today.
No, you don't get it.
It's illegal, dude. So it doesn't. Your restrictions aren't good because it doesn't. They don't work. Obviously, you took it despite the restrictions. The restrictions.
And now you fucking go, Eric. You fucking go black and white again. You fucking go like, oh, you're for restriction. I want to simplify this in the same way as Hillary versus Trump. Fuck you. That's not what this is about. This is about some sort of middle ground.
Listen, I'm gonna explain to you exactly what this is. You've taken a bunch of acid while acid is illegal, and you're like, oof, yeah, that is bad. We should keep it being illegal. Or you say, yeah, that is bad. We definitely should have some restrictions in place because what you were subject to no restrictions. You took a bunch of it anyway. So how much good are the restrictions going to do?
That's what I'm saying. Restriction isn't doing any good. But I don't think legalizing it like completely would do any good either. I think legalizing completely would make people do stupid stuff.
Jacob, removing threats of force will not make anyone do anything. Leaving threats of force will make people do things. Do you understand the difference?
Well, yes, of course I do. I basically already mentioned about the fucking alcohol restriction during the 30s, Eric.
Right. But you just said if we legalize it completely, we'll make people do things. But legalizing completely means removing threats of coercion will make people do things. But that's obviously not the case, right?
Well, just like Purple says, like having a psychiatrist's assessments would be sort of a compromise.
I'm not interested in compromises. I'm interested in arguing.
I've noticed that because you tend to paint the world in black and white, man.
No, Jacob, because it is the case that what you said indicates that you are not thinking correctly about this. Because
Define
you said
correctly,
if
dude.
we remove threats of coercion, that will make people do things. When in
You're
reality,
being too rigid.
leaving
Like,
the status quo is making people do things, and removing threats of coercion is not making anyone do anything.
you know what this feels like? I've been having debates with ISTJs, and this is exactly what it feels like. Because your principles are so born into who you are. You're so obsessed with your own like principles, so you can't even listen to what I'm saying. You sort of yeah, but you sort of simplify it. You want to generalize everything I say into different kind of folders to make it easier for you to understand it.
Okay, listen, what you just said is I don't understand you or I strawman you, and both those things are false. How do you know that? I just repeated back to you what you just said, unlike what you do with me, okay?
Yeah, just like memory and SI.
Listen, so the reality is I know all of the arguments you're making, which basically are there are harms that will incur if one is to have something entirely unregulated or unrestricted, okay? You're saying that. I get it.
Yes.
You're saying there are serious harms about something. We should have some sort of restrictions, blah, blah, blah. I get it. Now, here's the deal. The problem is the subject of the sentence, okay? Because when we act as a we like that, especially at a large societal level, there's only one principle that ought to be applied, and the reason is not because of principle, it's because of utilitarian outcomes.
I'm silent so far.
Now look, we have to apply the principle of non-interference. Everybody has their ideas about what someone else should be forced to do. Yours is LSD. Somebody else's is blah. Somebody else's is blah. Somebody else's is blah. The problem is that group politics involves compromise, and compromise involves making deals with people. And so it is that we allow this individual to enforce their personal perspective on everybody, and we allow that individual to enforce their personal perspective on everybody. I don't think it's a good idea to use any restrictions on LSD. Who's right, you or me, Jacob? Well, the difference between the answer is it doesn't matter who's right. If you win, everybody is subject to more force. If I win, everybody's subject to less force.
Talking with famous people.